Welcome to another episode of God Yay or Nay. I'm here with Bas Lebesque. Boss, thanks for joining me, my man.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, this is going to be good. You're out there in Amsterdam, so we have a little bit of a time difference, but
Absolutely.
we can make it work. It'll be fun.
It's not that late. I mean, it's 8 o'clock in the evening here, so that's totally
Oh, yeah.
fine.
All right. That's a good time for you.
Yeah.
Let's get into your story a little bit. I really do
hmm
appreciate it. So you are like what you do is like you're a mindset coach. You help people like change their mindset so they can actually bring change into their life, which is just goes so perfectly with the theme of my podcast. Um,
hmm
and like you also started out in the financial markets, and like you have such an interesting story, but yeah, maybe give our audience a little bit of like kind of a bio of yourself of like how you came to like into this business.
Okay. I'm 48 now, and this journey started like 60, no 60, 36 years ago. Um, I was 12 at the time. I had a pretty good childhood, and everything was fine. And then my mother died of cancer, um, and she was my go-to person, my soulmate. She was the person I trusted the most in my life,
Hmm.
and while quite simultaneously, I was trying to figure out my sexuality, and this was all happening to me, and I was a bit, oh, not a bit, but I was questioning life. It's like, what is happening, and did I deserve this, or why is this happening to me? Why is it not happening to someone else? What am I going to do with my life? How am I going to turn out for the best? Or what am I going to do with life? So going through high school and dealing with these two issues made it very difficult to connect with my peers, basically. Having a adults find it already difficult to have a conversation about loss, let alone like two 13-year-olds, or like
Yeah.
not an adult talking to a 13-year-old is also, I mean, it's weird. They don't know what to say. So I mean, going through all that, I went in, and then I went to university, and life started to change. um it was, you said, I've been in finance. I studied hotel management, and I worked in hotels uh for 2 years. 1 year was in 1996, and I was in China when China was still China, still pretty closed, or at least not to the metropoles like they are right now.
Hmm.
Um, I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Uh, and yeah, as I said, working 100 hours. And I was like, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to continue this, I'll kill myself. I'll be dead by 40. Who, who can live like this? So something needed to change. I made a switch to finance. I became a trader quite, yeah, quite successfully as well. But there was always uh, this sense of not living a fulfilled life. It was like I was transferring money and securities all over the world, and yeah, it felt like living in a golden cage, and I wanted to break with that. So um, I resigned, took a 2 year sabbatical. I lived in Brazil. I lived in Australia. It was an amazing time. Um, Now looking back, that's also the time when I started like my let's say real soul searching journey. It's I thought when I took the sabbatical that I was going to do like a 3 month sabbatical, and then I would know, or life or the universe or whatever you want to call it would magically show me what I was going to do next. But yeah, I now know you need to do inner work to find out what you want to do.
Yep.
So I wasn't doing that during my sabbatical. So in the end, um, people started questioning me. It's like, what are you doing with your time? You're at the peak of your, you should be at the peak of your career. You're not working. You need to make money. Yeah, all that kind of talk. And
Mm-hmm.
I decided to go back into consulting. And I created kind of a bigger golden cage. I mean, I was freelancing. I had a little bit more freedom. There were between assignments, there were longer periods I wasn't working, and that was nice, but still not like where I wanted to be. So in that process, I started to exercise. Yeah, double of what I was doing. I was doing 3 times a week. I went to 6 times a week. I couldn't do that with the way I was eating. So I tried all kinds of different diets. I tried the paleo diet. I'm now mainly a vegetarian. Um, and along the way, I also started to reduce my drinking, which I gave up in 2000. I don't even remember, 16 or 17. And that's, I mean, for my energy, that's just one of the best things I've ever done. Um, I've been inspired along the way by various people. Uh, Byron Katie, I've done her work. I've been to her school of the work. I've done the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've done the work of Wim Hof, the Iceman. Um, and a lot of these things, I mean, I will not always practice them daily, but yeah, that's they have a big, they're very present in my life. These their tools, um, and I came also to a point where it's like I want to, I've gone through so many life changing events. And looking for balance, for more clarity. I have, yeah, so much wisdom about it, which I can share and which I'd like to share with people. um, and that's what I'm doing now, and that's how I came into uh, executive mindset coaching, um, where, yeah, I see a lot of executives, they're in the status of overwhelm, and they want to create more happiness basically in their life. They're pushed and pulled by so many things and people in their environment. And just by starting to create that balance step by step, you see a complete transformation um, in their lives. um, and that's just, I mean, that's just beautiful to watch. And yeah, it's an honor to be part of that.
Mm-hmm. And no, I like how you're saying, like, when you're trying to find these like find a different change in your life or a different route in your life, you have to do that inner work, because that inner work is where those answers start pouring out of you. Like, do you kind of
Yes.
see it that way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's you knew you um like one of the things, it's like, we all have a sense of fear. We fear to do things, and for one person, it's like it's showing up. For the other one, is speaking in public. Or I don't know what kind of fears people have. They're so different, but dealing with these fears, like, I mean, that's also like inner work. Getting out of your own way, getting out of your own limiting beliefs, or upgrading your beliefs. And that's how you, yeah, you're gonna show up for what you want to achieve, or for what I want to achieve. um, and that takes sometimes bold steps. I mean, it took me 3 years to resign from trading, because I was so attached to like the position I had and the money I had. And when I thinking about what was going to happen, I thought I was gonna I thought I was gonna lose everything and live on the streets, which is, I mean, it's ridiculous. But you're playing that story in your head every time you want to make the decision. It's like, oh, no, no, this is the best I have. I can't. I can't create anything similar like this ever again. So let me, you become very attached to it.
Yeah,
uh, so yeah.
honestly, that like and like creating that story, like that's just a story you're telling yourself. If
Mhm.
I jump out of this, I can be on the streets, and it's so based in fear. And I think that's in anything, honestly. Like I remember when I was doing comedy, it just started off, I like was doing jobs in like landscaping and stuff, and I had the exact same fear, like, oh, if I get out of this, I'm gonna be on the streets. There's like I'm just gonna have so much problems and stuff. And like, trust me, I'm not making nearly as much money doing landscaping as probably you in the financial markets. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you gotta like, and those fears, like it's the same with like leaving a relationship too, isn't it? Like you have that fear of like, if I do this, like, I'm just never gonna find anybody or whatever. And like sometimes you need to like question these beliefs. Like, so yeah, can you give us maybe a little bit more insight into like how you question these beliefs and like to make that change? And maybe even if there is like other examples in your life.
I mean, with this particular thing, it was I was basically, I was talking about it so much, and I still remember the guy who said to me, stop talking about it. You act, you do it, you have to do it. You'll be fine. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I called. This was on a Sunday afternoon, and I went back in that Monday morning, and I was like, I'm done. And this was at the peak of the financial crisis, uh, and um, yeah, that made it a little bit more dynamic or stressful. But yeah, I did it, and like 2 months later, I was sitting on a plane to Brazil, and I don't know what happened on that on that flight, but I couldn't stop crying. I was just sobbing. I was like waterfalls, and I was like, "What is this?" But I think it was like a buildup of like the fear that I had, and that I needed to get it out of my system. It's like, and also like I had built up so much for this like fear for the future. And it's like, okay, but now the future is there. And then it's like, this is it. This is what I need to do, or this is what I'm going to do. And you take it one step at a time. You have no idea what is going to happen. I was in that plane, but I was arriving in Rio. I didn't know where I was going to sleep. I didn't know who I was going to meet. 5 days later, I'm in a Portuguese class, which I didn't know before I arrived. I got to know about that school there. And that's basically, you take a step, your horizon changes. I've met wonderful people in that class who I'm still friends with. Um, and that's just, it's about making the step, doing it. And once you take a step, the horizon changes. You make another step, the horizon changes again. And just by going on, you you evolve. I mean, I can give you another example. One of the maybe the most profound uh, limiting beliefs in relationships that I had was the one with my father. Um, when my mother died, I was with my father and my sister, and there was a certain family dynamic. Uh, and I also had this like expectation of my dad, who he needed to be, and I was expecting, yeah, more than he was. And he did his best, really. But I was like, I wanted more from. So I created this imaginary dad in my life, how he's supposed to be, how perfect he needed to be. And it wasn't real. It wasn't fair to him, and it wasn't fair to myself. So I had my imaginary father here and my real father here. And there, every time I was confronted with my father, the gap will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, up till a moment where I was like, my father is such a bad guy compared to what I created in my head, um, that I wanted to break with him. And um, so I had to really let question this belief about what he should be and how he should act and what he should say. And I was, everything he was doing, I was weighing on like on uh, yeah, I mean, he couldn't do it right in my eyes, where he didn't do anything wrong really. So I started really questioning that. What is he really saying? What is he really doing? So basically, I brought this image back down to where he was, and now I could like truly connect with the person that's in front of me, and all the problems that I thought we had just evaporated. He didn't do anything. I did all the work, mainly through Byron Katie's work. So I'm very thankful for that. But I mean, it was hard work for me to overcome these and question these limiting beliefs. It's very easy to say, he doesn't love me. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at yourself. Do you really love yourself? I didn't at the time, and it was way more easier for me to project all the things that I wasn't accepting about myself onto him. He's like, he's not accepting me, and I'm not talking about the gay issue only, but about anything. He's not accepting me. He's not proud of me. He doesn't love me. But that was all me talking to me. I wasn't proud. I wasn't accepting myself, or at least not to the extent where I wanted to accept myself. I wasn't loving towards myself. There's always this this criticism, or this critic in my head that's, we all have that critic brain. That's all talking shit all day long.
Mm-hmm.
um, but the moment you start, yeah, I mean, you don't really want to. I didn't want to examine that. It wasn't me. It was all these other people. Where, when you do the inner work and you deal with these, like, call them inner demons or saboteurs or whatever the term is, it's that's when you start to feel free.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I like that, like, especially like it's kind of crazy, like how powerful our mind is, that like we can like just project our own issues onto somebody else and like project our own expectations onto somebody else. But like when
Mhm.
you truly can just sit back and accept them for who they really are, that's when you actually learn the most about them, and then you can actually appreciate them even more. And like
Absolutely,
yeah, you have to get your
absolutely.
head out of that, like putting expectations on somebody else. It's such a bad mindset, and I think we all do it, and we have to all
Oh,
like kind of examine that, right?
yeah. I mean, it's so easy to put these expectations on other people and then even get angry when we don't get it. But, it's like, it's you have to get it. You have to get it, create it, um, resolve it, or whatever.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
And I
Uh,
liked what you were talking about going to Rio. Like
uh,
I like that idea of like you're getting there and like a new horizon kind of starts. And like this is a big thing about like when you bring change into your life, there's so much uncertainty that comes with it, so you kind of got to train your mind and your body to be like comfortable in that uncertainty and understand what uncertainty is. Like having more uncertainty just means there's more like opportunities that like come out of that. Like the
mhm.
more like certainty you have, the less different opportunities. So like when you can become comfortable in like a little bit of uncertainty, especially when you do want to bring change into your life, that just gives you more opportunities. And like you said, you went to Brazil, you ended up like 5 days later enrolling into a class where you've made some lifelong friends. And this was just the start of a new journey. And it brought you to a happier place in the end, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the moment I went there, I had a plan. I was going to do 1 month in Rio, 1 month in Natal, and then 1 month in Fortaleza. But after 5 days, I already decided no, no. All my plans went out of the window, and it was like I'm going to stay in Rio. Rio is amazing.
Ha, ha, ha,
Uh,
ha.
I loved it. I mean, I really loved it, and that's yeah. So it's like you don't know. You only know when you experience, and there's nothing. I know there's people that love to plan and stick to their plan and keep control, and it needs to happen the way they planned it. But yeah, I've traveled a lot, and like on my first big travel, I went to Indonesia and had basically all the days planned out. After day two, all plans were out of the window, and we just went as we saw fit, and we skipped parts of our trip, and we added things to our trip, and that was just like the yeah the most amazing thing about it. And that's kind of how I try to live my life now. It's a journey, and it's all it's all experience, and it's all here to enjoy. And yeah, okay, we'll go through uh life deals us bad cards, some more than others, but it's how you show up in those moments, and how you do your work in those moments.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes it takes a couple of years to uh, to get over these burdens, but and some things you'll never get over, but it's it's choosing to be a victim or a victor. um, and that's a choice you can make every single day. uh, and of course you'll be pulled back into victimhood uh, once in a while, but and it's okay to be there for a bit of time, but then you're like, no, I choose to be I choose something else. This is all I have. This is the best. This is the best I get. If the ultimate choice would be death. If that's if not experiencing what you're experiencing, um, would you trade it for death? And generally, no. I mean, there are extremes where I well, I don't know. I've never been there, but and just by hearing some stories, I can imagine you choose for the ultimate. But in general, it's like always have a choice.
Mhm. No, that's true. So let's talk about your yeah, let's talk about your influences a little bit. So I know Joe Dispenza and I know Wim Hof
Hmm.
very, very well.
Yeah.
Byron Katie, I don't know too much about, and like you were telling her,
Mm-hmm.
she helped you a lot, with your dad for one thing. So like
Mm-hmm.
maybe give us a little insight into the what she teaches.
Well, she created this. Well, I don't want to be disrespectful to her, but a very simple method to to question your beliefs, and she calls it the four questions. And it's basically well, the first question is it true? What you're thinking or believing, and that's for the example I gave. He doesn't love me, or she doesn't love me. Is it true? Yes or no? You can only answer with yes or no. Then the second question is, are you absolutely sure that it's true? And then the third question is, who are you when you're having that thought? And you meditate and sit with that. And it's like you go on this roller coaster, this emotional roller coaster. And then the fourth question is basically, who would you be in this moment if you wouldn't have that thought? And that's like, yeah, in this moment I'm having a conversation with you. I'm drinking a cup of tea. This is the moment. I'm not like the person that doesn't love me isn't present. He's not, he or she isn't showing to me that he or she doesn't love me. It's all imaginary, whether it's the past or the future, but it's not. It's about grounding yourself with the now, basically. And
Hmm.
then basically the the most powerful tools is like you turn your beliefs around and then you see what appears. So uh when you say, for example, he doesn't love me, you turn it around into I don't love him, and how what shows up for you then. When you another turnaround could be I don't love myself, then you turn it towards yourself. um, or like in my mind I believe that he doesn't love me. What kind of story are you creating? And you just really like kind of like meditate and sit with this and really question, like, is this all true what I'm telling? And it's like most of the time it's not even true. you
Hmm.
know someone you walk into the supermarket and the cashier isn't friendly to you, and we make a whole story out of this, and it's when you think about it, was I friendly to her? Could I have been friendlier to her, or to him? Would that have changed the dynamic? Probably it would have. And it's and we always make it about them instead of about us. And even if she wasn't friendly to you, why would that affect you? you know
Yeah.
why is that? Why are you hurt? You're hurting yourself by walking into someone that's unfriendly. Accept that they're unfriendly. Don't bring it into you. Don't bring this negativity into you. So you're basically unfriendly to yourself. You're hurting yourself by something that someone is doing without like even probably not even being aware that she's doing that, or.
No, it's
So yeah, that's it's very powerful.
no, that is a very powerful technique. I like that a lot, actually. And I love like trying to examine the emotional state you're in when you have a
Hmm.
belief. I think that's very, very powerful because not only does that make you more aware of your emotional states, it like makes you aware that your beliefs like fluctuate with the states as well, which is such an important thing to really understand about yourself and like your beliefs as well. And then yeah, turning your beliefs around, all of that stuff, it's just such a good way of just dissecting your beliefs and
Yeah.
really seeing how they affect your life.
And like one of the things she said, is like she has this, she calls it the worksheet, and it's like it's just a one piece of paper, and you can fill it in and you can work on it. And so every time you have like a belief that triggers you, or you need to examine, basically you fill in a form. And one of the things she said is like the moment you think that someone else needs to fill in a form, go fill in the form yourself. And
Ha,
that
ha,
was
ha,
like
ha, ha.
that was like so profound. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be filling in forms all day long. So it's like I very quickly and easily let go about like, you need to do this, or you need to do that, or you should be saying this, or you should be saying that. It's like, okay, it's like yeah,
That's,
that's funny.
I do think that's funny too. You're constantly, yeah, that's the thing. Like you do mentally a lot is like constantly like put it on other people, and that's like, it's a good empowering thing to be like, no, put it on yourself and come back to yourself and understand that this is you're causing yourself your own suffering, and you got to like deal with it yourself and give yourself. Why don't you empower yourself? Because if it is caused by you, that means you can change it. So it's the most
Mhm.
empowering thing. Then let's talk about Joe Dispenza then, because like I know like you talked with him about meditation and stuff. Yeah, maybe give us a little background into your meditation and like what happened when you worked with Joe Dispenza on this.
I mean, yeah, it's the same thing. I went into his work quite open. I came across his work, and I hadn't watched any of his YouTubes, but someone told me you need to go, and I was like, okay, I'll go. And so I signed up, and you need to do online preparation, and you need to read the book. So I was like, oh, okay, I did that. So I went in, and I knew there was going to be some meditation, and I had done a bit of meditation. Uh, well, I started meditating maybe a year and a half ago, but then I started with like 5 minutes, and I was like, do I need to go sit on the floor for 5 minutes and do what? It's like be silent and be like this 5 minutes. You know how long 5 minutes is? And I was going on like this. So then, I had to do like in the preparation, I had to do a 45-minute meditation. That was the longest meditation that I had done uh, up till then. And that was, I mean, that was a lot easier than the 5 minutes. It's like I can do 45 minutes. I'll live. I'll be fine. Let's see what happens. So I did the 45 minutes, but then I went to the event, and then we went into a 4-hour meditation. I was like, oh wow, 4 hours. It's like that's a lot of meditating and or meditation. And I was like, so but I did it. I was fine. Um, and then I was doing his meditations like on a daily basis. Um, and then I decided to go to another event. Um, but there we were meditating from 11 in the morning to, no, from 11 in the evening, sorry, from 11 in the evening till 9 o'clock in the morning. So that was like a 10-hour
Wow.
meditation straight. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, there was, and that's, um, I mean, he works a lot on the moment where you move from consciousness into unconsciousness into sleep. So we were trying to, like, during these meditation all night long, we were trying to get into that state every time, and like try to prolong that period of that transition between consciousness and unconsciousness. So you would fall asleep at certain moments, but then he would wake you up again, and then the cycle would start again and again and again. And yeah, that's and it was so, I mean, it was so amazing because we um once we were done, we would have, like, in the morning, we would have breakfast. I would think I would go to my room for 2 3 hour sleep, and then wake up. Well, it was in Berlin, walk around Berlin a little bit, and then we would have a meeting presentation, an afternoon presentation. And then it was like, so we basically slept like 2 3 hours a day, and I was buzzing with energy. It was like, it was it was cool. It was such a wonderful experience. It was yeah, it was like, meditation wise, one of the coolest things I've done. And this is also, I mean, what I did in Brazil. I met wonderful people. I'm still connected with them. Here I am. I'm still connected with people. We meet bi-weekly online to meditate together. And these people are, most of them are in the UK. I'm in the Netherlands, but we just do it online, and we
Oh,
create an energy, and that's really cool.
yeah,
Um,
that is amazing.
yeah. So I keep doing his work, not as frequently as I did in the past, but I still love it. Um, but there's just, yeah, there's I mean, there's not enough time in a day to do all this
Well,
self care. And
yeah, you can't
it's
do it
like,
all, especially when there's 9-hour meditations involved.
yes. I mean, if you do meditation, gratitude work, you do the ice bath, you go to the gym, you do yoga, you do stretching, your day's done. I mean,
Yeah,
there
that's
is you need to work as well. So, or I need to, and I want to work. Um, so yeah, there's also finding the right balance into doing all this um, self-care and the time you spend on it. But I think I have a good balance now.
Mm-hmm. Then let's actually then move over to Wim Hof then, because you just
Yeah.
mentioned ice baths. So I've been doing this breathing exercise for a couple years now, and it's just I just love it so much. And part of it is like cold therapy.
Uh,
And like I don't know, I've been doing cold showers, and I'm pretty comfortable with them now that I can like do a full like 5 minute shower, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, but like just in the cold, and it's like I'm like I can like calm down my body and it's fine. But I remember like actually like when I went to the mountains in the summer, I went to the glacier water, and I was like, all right, I'll try this. Like, this is what Wim Hof does. And I jumped into the glacier water. I could like only last like a minute, and I had to get out of there. It was
uh-huh.
insanely cold. Like, it's not even on the same level as a cold shower. And like, you do these ice baths. So, like, yeah, how long did it
Well,
take
but
you to get comfortable in this stuff?
how cold was the water?
Like, it's glacier water. So that's all I know.
Zero. It's zero or maybe one.
Maybe, I don't know. Like it
Okay.
was summer, so it wasn't like middle of winter,
Okay.
but it was insanely cold.
So right now, well, I've done his breath, and it's very it's I mean it's one of the well, it's the most powerful breath I've done. Uh, but that's something I would like to do more. But that's not part of my, let's say, daily practice or weekly practice. But I sit in cold water 3 times a week, and the rule I kind of apply now is like 1 minute per degree Celsius. So if the water is 5 degrees, I sit there for 5 minutes. If it's 4 minutes. The water here now is between 4 and 5, so it's 5 minutes. Um, but yeah, that's for convenience reasons, and it's free, so that's what I do now. I've done the ice bath, and that's I think I've done like 4 minutes in ice water, um, and that's yeah, it's also a form of meditation. I mean, it's very um, it's just yeah, it's surrendering to the pain basically, or because it's like feels like biting on your skin, the cold, and it's just you keep breathing through it, and then yeah, so I do that now. Yesterday I did 5 minutes in 5 degrees water, and yeah, sometimes some days it's easier than others, but yeah, that's it's cool. But it's I think it's not for me. It's not so much uh, in the time spent in the water, but more about the time it takes your body to heat up again, or to get itself onto the right temperature. So staying too long in the water, it might you might be cold for hours and hours and hours, and that I don't think that can be right. So I mean, I think maybe in about an hour or maybe two, your body should be really at normal body temperature again, or at least like the sensation in your body that you're not feeling that cold anymore.
Hmm. And yeah, I'll let the audience know for people who are wondering why the hell we're jumping in ice water or anything. Like this like has a bunch of various health benefits. It's so good
Oh
for
yeah, yeah,
inflammation, and like you said, it's a form of meditation as well. And if you're doing this on like if you're doing this as a practice, which a lot of people do, like you can actually learn to like increase your body temperature yourself. So like
yeah.
you can withstand like actual like really extreme conditions, and be able to like have your body like withstand that, which is pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I mean, it boosts your immune system, but it also, what I also find interesting is that at like before I was doing this, I could also feel really hot at times. Not so like it's like uncomfortably hot, and now that doesn't really happen anymore either. It's just like my body seems to be able to regulate its temperature much better. Um, there's not really, I don't really, I never really felt cold, but there was more that I felt too hot basically, but that's not happening anymore. So yeah, that's also like quite a change, I think. Um, yeah, so it's a really yeah. There is like this thing called brown and white fat. I don't know if you are aware of it, but the white fat is more around your organs and is belly fat, and the brown fat is more around your spine and in your chest area, and that's apparently uh, used for in the process for um, keeping your body at the right temperature.
Mm.
Um, so when you do these ice baths and exposure to cold, you apparently you see that your balance between white and brown fat goes in favor of brown fat, or I mean, the amount of brown fat in your body will be higher, and that means that your body is healthier for your body. So I mean, yeah, the benefits are numerous.
Hmm. So also, let's talk a little bit because about your sexuality. You mentioned on your
Mm,
website. Yeah, you said a phrase that I found very interesting. You said the process of coming out never stops.
yes.
Uh, yeah, do you mind like kind of maybe elaborating on that a little bit?
Yeah. So a lot of, well, I don't really want to talk for other people, but the feeling I have is, that the people think that you come out once and then it's done. You have coming out parties and coming out day and I don't know what, and you just come out and it's done and dusted. But it's not. You might come out to your family or your friends, but that just never, like, you've taken the big hurdle, but furthermore you have to basically come out to every person that you meet, or you'll have to make a decision whether you want to come out to that person or not. And then there's a whole narrative behind it, or like, fear of being rejected, um, because you just never know who you're going to deal with, and how are they going to respond to it, what their beliefs are, and whether whatever they believe, for whatever reason, whether it's religious or not. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but and they're entitled to whatever belief they have. I don't want them to change my beliefs, so why should I be thinking that I could change theirs? But um, even and those are people in the minority. In my experience, the majority has reacted very, very positively. So but when you come out as a teenager, and um, a lot of a lot of these people grow up in a world where it's not the norm. The norm is a father and a mother and some siblings, and that's it. So when you realize that you're different, you create stories, that you're going to lose everything, or that they're going to kick you out on the street or whatever. um, and you basically plant a seed for this, that that you will be rejected, and you bring this on to basically every person you're gonna come out to in the rest of your life. And of course it becomes easier and easier and easier. But when you, let's say, you walk into a boardroom, with where it's very white male straight dominated world, or you walk into a locker room, if you'd say certain things or they don't know about you, you'd be like, what are they gonna think? What are they gonna say? If and sometimes it just needs one person to 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 change the whole dynamic of the group. If
Yeah.
one is like starts to joke, and then the others hop on. It's these kind of moments, and you you tread with care. And yeah, you can say, I don't give a fuck, but that's also like kind of protecting yourself. It's also not being um yeah, being vulnerable. And that's a choice you make, with every person you meet. And that's something a straight person will never have to do. And good for them. But they're never questioned for themselves being straight. But I mean, I was talking to a woman of color the other day, and she uh what, I realized that she's kind of doing a similar thing as I'm doing. She's walking into or meeting people in the corporate world, and there's always this like thing in the back of her mind. It's like, do they see me? Do they see me as a woman? Do they see me as a black woman? What do they see? Or are they just, are they not seeing it? Or are they just accepting me for whatever, whoever I am? And so she's doing her own coming out every time, because she has, it's like you showing up for yourself. And whether that is whether that's being a woman of color or being a white gay man, it's basically, you just say, this is who I am, and and you'll accept whatever is coming back. um, but yeah, that's not always easy, and that just never stops. So that's what I kind of mean with that. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. And no, like I appreciate you telling us that because it's definitely perspective that's good to hear. And yeah, no, it is like that is something like I guess like I never even like thought about either, because it is something I don't need to think about just because like I
No.
am a straight guy and I never had to worry about that. But I can now, like when you explain it like just exactly like you did, I like completely understand that whole idea of just like, especially when you're in a group of people, and if that ever comes up and you have to say that, I could see how, yeah, I can see how like vulnerable that would make you feel, and just be like, oh
Mhm.
shit, like, do I want to say this right now? And yeah, that makes 100% like a lot of sense, man. All right, boss, it's that time of the podcast. I gotta ask you the question. So, boss Lebesque, God, yay
Mhm.
or nay?
I'm a Yeah, I'm an atheist, and yeah, when I when I think about these things, and I mean, everybody is entitled to their belief in their religion, but one of the things is like, we as children, we are told all these fairy tales about Santa Claus and these men with their white beards, and I don't know, and then it's like, after a certain time, we tell our children, these are all like lies. We told you all these stories, but the one story we just keep hanging on to, and we'll never say, that's a story as well. And to me, it's just a story.
Yeah,
I'm
just
a, yeah, I believe in the universe, or um, you know, that's where we That's how it's been created. That's where we came from, and that's where we'll go back to.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. It kind of reminds me of like George Carlin's bit, like I worship the sun because I can see it.
Oh yeah. I mean, what he says about religion, I mean, I think I've watched that YouTube like, oh, I don't know, I don't mean how many times, but it's just like yeah, he's amazing.
I,
I wish I ever had the opportunity to have seen him live, but he's so cool.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites too. All right, boss. Thank you so much. Great to have you on. Please let anybody, all my audience, know where they can get a hold of you. And you do stuff over Zoom or over the internet, right? With people, you can help them out if they want help over the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. I do I mean, even before COVID, I did most of my most of my things online. Um, yeah, and it doesn't. I mean, location doesn't matter. Time differences doesn't matter to me as well. I have my website, which is baslebesque.com, BASLEBESQUE.com. And you can also find me on my LinkedIn page. Um, and all my contact details are there. And the first call is on me, um, and I'll make it a powerful session, and then yeah, we'll decide whether we're or I usually decide with my clients if we're a good fit, and then we'll take it from there. Coaching is better to be experienced and then being sold. So
Hey,
yeah, that's
can't complain about that.
uh
All right.
so
Yeah, that's awesome. So bosslebest.com, and I'll toss that in the podcast description. So if anybody wants to get a hold of Boss, that's what you do.
perfect. I'm looking forward to it.